Okay, everybody. Game Cookie US Rocks VR here. How y'all doing? Um, I'm just going to be testing some graphics cards with Nightingale. So the first one that I'm going to be testing today is the RTX 3050 8GB, running with a AMD Ryzen 5 5600G with DDR4. 16 gigabytes of RAM. I'm assuming it's running at 3200 megahertz. I'm not sure for sure. Well, okay, yeah, it says right here. Okay, do we have a mouse? Yeah, right here, 3200 megahertz. All right, so yeah, so let's just get into this. I'm going to try to test the 3050, my 1070. I have a 970, and I think that's the only three small cards that I have that'll fit in this computer. Yeah, so those three cards at least with this particular PC build, okay? Just because, you know, they're all kind of old cards now, and the 5600G should be powerful enough to not bottleneck them, hopefully. Although the 5600G is kind of, you know, I don't know, it's not great, but it still should put pretty uh, real world results. The other thing too is I'm not going to be able to go higher than 1080p on any of these cards. So because I'm using a 60 hertz 1080p monitor, um, and I'm using a capture card, so I can't increase the resolution, unfortunately, because my capture card maximum is 1080p. So, you know, you could probably, you know, like if the game is getting, say, 80 frames per second at 1080p, then you're probably at 1440p, you're probably going to be getting about 50 frames per second, right? Give or take. All right, so, you know, I mean, if you're getting pretty decent frame rates at 1080p, then you probably just want to play at 1080p, you know, because that's just what these cards are for. I mean, the 1070, sure, it's a little more powerful, I guess, in some respects, but, you know, you want to really just use 1080p for those cards now. So let's get in. This is my son's account, so that's on his computer, so I think he just made it to the first realm to meet up with me, so it should be good enough for testing. Now, I don't know what we're going to get. He was getting pretty good frame rates yesterday when he was playing, but that was just in the tutorial zones, so let's see what we're going to get here. I took my camera off just so that it's not a distraction, you know what I mean? But I mean, for all the bad things that I heard about this 3050, I mean, it seems to do fine at 1080p for most of the games I've seen. I mean, we'll see. This is a brand new game, Unreal Engine 5. Let's see what it does. I mean, I'm not expecting, like, you know, 100 frames per second or anything, but I should have waited for this realm to load up first, but actually I was going to show you the settings, but I'll wait until we get in. Come on. I do have this card overclocked a little bit too. So I think I have like a 100 on the GPU clock, and I think it's up to 400 on the memory. Alright, so we got VSync off, I think. So let's see here. The video settings are... Let's see. We have... It's at 1080p. I don't think you can change it. Field of view is 90. Everything's set to balanced with DLSS on quality. Now, 1080p is going to be somewhat... possibly GPU bound. Let me put on the NVIDIA thing up top here. So if you look up here where my mouse is, it says the GPU is at 97%. The CPU is at 26%, 26 to 30. So that CPU is working. Now I don't know why it only shows 4% here for the CPU. So, and this does have Lumen on, which is ray tracing on balanced. I don't know why it's... what did I change? Oh yeah, I changed the... So, I mean, you know, the game doesn't look bad. It's running at like 50 frames per second. That's with Lumen on. Right? So if we go into the woods here, again, I do have this overclocked a little bit. So in the woods here, we're getting like, you know, still kind of 50. So the ReRAM usage is not going over 6,500, so we're well within that 8 gig limit. See here, we still have a pretty good view off in the distance. I mean, for a brand new game, I think it's doing pretty well. Now, if we take off Lumen, let's see here. Why did it go to 44? It's funny it went down in the menu. That's weird. So if we take off Lumen, let's see. Put that on performance. I'm not sure how much that'll change. It doesn't seem like it's changing at all. So we're getting a steady 50 frames per second, looks like. I mean, nothing is compromised. Everything looks good. Now there is going to be some screen tearing because I don't have on. Wetness, I don't want to get wet. I'm not used to playing on such a small screen. Yeah, so I mean it's a smooth, playable 55 frames per second. There's no stuttering at all that I can tell. You know what I mean? So I wonder what happens if we put it on let's take off DLSS and put on, I guess this is TSR, which is like the internal upscaling. So let's put textures on quality, shadows on quality, about shading on quality? Let's start getting the GPU working here. Let's just put all this on quality. Except for the anti-aliasing. Okay. So everything kind of went down a little. Let's try quality. Alright, quality. Okay, so we have lumen. Let's put lumen on balanced again. Okay, so not sure what's going. Okay, so alright, it's back now. Alright, so now we're like we should be more GPU bound here. Everything looks better. And we're still in the 50s, so So using the Unreal thing, we can still stay in the 50s and have higher quality. I'm not sure if they got DLSS implemented in this game properly, because DLSS should be a very good solution, you know what I'm saying? Huh. Let's go in the woods. Again. Okay, so in the woods, we're like in the, upper 40s. When we're moving, if we stop, we're at like 47 here. Moving around, of course, you're going to drop because it's got to render all that stuff real quick. Yeah, so so here it's pretty intensive. So this is probably going to be the most intense spot in the game right here. Alright, so we're at 43 with everything on quality except for view distance, anti-aliasing, and lumen. So let's go to DLSS. Let's go to DLSS quality and see what happens. Alright, so we're about the same. Okay. We're about the same. Yeah, I think they don't have they don't have DLSS really implemented properly in this game. I'm not really sure what this anti-aliasing does. Like, it doesn't make any sense to have it with DLSS. So let's try DLSS on balanced. Doesn't really change much. How about DLSS on performance? No. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think they have it implemented properly because there's a lot of flickering. There's never usually any flickering. Like Atomic Heart, is that what it's called? Atomic Heart never had a problem with any flickering or anything. Even at 1080p DLSS. It's just for some reason this game there's a lot of flickering and I'm not sure why. Like what they're doing in this game that's um, different. You know what I mean? Just something is off. So I think I would, unfortunately, use the TSA. Um, TSA with lumen on balanced, all the other settings on quality, view distance balanced, and everything just looks better, like way better. There's still, you know, a little bit of like shimmy in some spots, but it's not like it was with DLSS. Like I said, DLSS should not be looking like that at all. It doesn't make any sense at all. Alright. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to play on quality mode, I guess you're going to be in the 40s. But again, there's no stuttering. I mean, maybe when you turn around once in a while. For the most part, the game is running pretty smooth. So if you want to get out of the 40s, then you're going to have to go balanced. Right, you're going to have to go everything balanced. I like to keep the textures on quality though. Let's see if we can do that. Yeah, so we have enough VRAM. So right now it's using 7 gigs. And we're like pretty much in the 50s. I mean, every so often you're going to go down to like the upper 40s. For whatever reason. Not sure why. Maybe because of the bushes here. Again, it's probably just rendering. I should have done that. Yeah. So, yeah, this is probably how I would play it. I mean, if you were to go to 1440p, the game would look better, but you would have to definitely play it on performance, most likely. Right, so view distance doesn't seem to change much, like it's still pretty much in the 50s. Yeah, but I would say this looks good. It's not stuttering, it's smooth. Sorry. Yeah, it's just when you get like, maybe in the woods. Yeah, there's like, right here. But it's still not really that bad. I mean, it's, you know, only when you're like in the deep woods. Like right there is 49. I guess it's just loading in all the bushes there. But once you get out, you know, it's definitely solid 50s. Yeah, so real nice. You know, you could try native, I guess, without any, I don't know, without any, we can try everything performance with anti-aliasing on balanced, or say quality. We can keep the textures at quality with everything else on performance, and we'll do native. No upscaling. Let's see what it does. So everything's on performance except for AA and textures. And we're getting less. Interesting. That's really interesting. Let's put everything native on quality except for the. Let's keep the lumen at performance and view distance balanced. So this is going to be GPU bound, I would think. Let's see what happens. All right, so we're like in around 30 frames per second. Let's see if it drops to like 20s. Yeah, we're getting about 30. Interesting. Interesting. So I'm just curious here. If we put lumen up, how much is it going to drop? Alright, so now we have ray tracing on. With no, what do we got? What kind of upscaling we have? TSA native. So let's put it on quality. TSR, sorry. So with TSR on quality, we're getting upper 30s. That's with everything on quality except for view distance. I mean, everything looks good. And again, it's not really like choppy or anything. It doesn't feel slow. You know, it doesn't feel slow at all. Crazy. Not sure what's going on here. Ultra quality. Let's try everything on ultra quality with TSR. Let's see how crazy that gets. So here we're at the mid-20s. Everything looks really good though. Like super good. So let's try to play with this one because ultra quality looks really nice. So let's try again DLSS. Let's try XCSS. on balanced. XCS ultra quality XCSS balanced. Nope. That doesn't really do anything good. Ultra quality, let's go back to DLSS. Let's go to balanced again. So DLSS balanced is getting us 30. So maybe that anti-alias quality setting turns down the shimming or something. I don't know. Yeah, it seems like ultra quality is hard. Very hard. Performance? Now we're getting to like low resolutions here. Yeah, there's a lot of shimmy going on. 1080p is just not the greatest. If you can do like 1080p quality, that's fine. Let's go back to quality. Let's turn lumen down to quality and see if that changes anything. Nope. Yeah, so it looks like, you know, you're really going to have to just have I mean, if you want to do ultra quality, you probably got to turn lumen like on performance. Let's try that and see if that changes anything. Yeah, well, if you turn the lumen off, basically, it at least gets us in solid 30s. Right? And again, it is smooth. You know, it's not like it's not choppy at all. It doesn't feel slow. There's not like a lot of micro stuttering going on. You know, there's a little bit of a, you know, every so often there's a little bit of a spike, but that's probably because it's loading in the next set of textures, I'd imagine. But again, I don't think you'd want to probably play in the low 30s, so let's put everything back to balanced. Anti-aliasing on quality. Now we're back up in the 50s again. So, yeah. So this looks like this is really going to be the best setting. Again, I don't know why the DLSS is having such a problem. But you probably want to put on TSR. Probably native. Let's see what that does again. So native, yeah, it's still 35 native. Huh. Interesting. Very interesting. So it looks like you have to do like quality. And again, maybe restarting the computer will be better. I don't know. Yeah, so this looks pretty good like this. I mean, this is probably the best you're going to get to pretty much stay in the 50s for most of the time. Again, it doesn't look bad, you know. It's definitely acceptable. You could put on like VSync just to take care of that screen tearing. You can even turn the textures up maybe. Did we do that before? Let's put this on VSync. Yeah, so it didn't really change much turning the textures up. So now for some reason it's like, I don't know, we're going up to 60 every second. Okay, that's because I was looking at the ground. Okay. Yeah, so... Yeah, this is definitely... this is definitely probably the best you're going to get if you want some decent looking graphics. Is TSR, everything on balanced except for anti-aliasing and textures. We still have some VRAM, so we might be able to do view. Yeah, that didn't really change much. Oh, look at that, we got a note here. Yeah, so we're in a forested area here, so we're getting in the 40s. Again, this could also be the 5600G because it's showing, I don't have a mouse cursor. What are you doing? Where'd he come from? They chased me all this way, huh? Small screen. Wasn't ready for this. Stamina. I hate stamina. Not used to such a dinky screen. Oh my god, give me a break. How did they get me? I dodged them.
No pearly gates for you, just of how.
Yeah, so he didn't have any of his health potions. Ooh. Oh no, I gotta get my body now. Again, you can turn down the graphics a little more. I don't know where those guys came from. Unless they chased me like all that way. Getting tired too. Oh, what? What? It's still raining? Oh my god. What now? Freaking pigs? Goodness. Serious? Oh my god. Now I'm a bunch of freaking pigs. think they came from here, maybe. Oh, it disappeared. That guy left. Give me my stuff back. Maybe it came from there. Oh my god. Wolves now. Really? Why am I weighed down? God, not again. Break. Give me a chance to get ready. Unbelievable. Now how far away? My goodness. Well, anyway, that's good enough, I guess. I'm gonna have to rest soon. I gotta make a tent. Something. Yeah, so that's probably the best you're gonna get if you want to be on quality. I mean, or you know, balanced is best you're gonna get. You know, you can turn again lumen down, but that's not really gonna net you much more. Because I mean, this card can handle some. You know what I mean? Ray tracing. I don't think we can go up to quality. Yeah, so that drops it quite a bit. So yeah. So lumen looks good. Seems to be good on balanced. Let's see what foliage does. Yeah, so foliage, it's going to drop you just a little bit more. So I guess everything has to be on balance. So TSR, quality, everything on balanced, except for the anti-aliasing and the view distance. Because that doesn't seem to change too much. Although I'm standing here and it's still in the 40s. So, yeah. Anyway, so that's probably where you're going to get the best performance. It's hard for me to see here what's going on. Thought I had rocks. Thought I had rocks. Oh, not that. I picked the wrong thing. Let's cook some meat. Oh, I don't have any. Oh, because I died. Wow. I got nothing, man. Still nothing? Only one thing? Like none of these weeds are worth anything? Oh goodness. What the heck? There ain't no berries anywhere, man. Golly. Brutal. Mushrooms, huh? The heck is that thing? I don't know, I don't see any more mushrooms. What's that? Something else that's gonna kill me. Anyway, very playable, 3050. The next GPU I will be testing is a GTX 1070. If I can fit it in the computer. That's the whole challenge here. It's a very small computer. Two, that's all. Alright, anyway. I'll be back. Ouch. Hit my head. Alrighty. We're back in Nightingale. I had to change computers because the graphics cards would not fit in my son's little computer, so we are now on the Intel i9-9900K with an RTX 2080 Ti with DDR4 3200. So I have the graphics, if you can see it here. Everything's on ultra quality with the TSR, which is the Unreal upsampling, but it's on native AA, so there's no, there's no upscaling right now. And as you can see, it's running at only 25 frames per second, and that is at 1080p resolution. I mean, we can put it on. Oh yeah, it's on board of us. So yeah. So even at 1080p, I guess the 2080 Ti can't run this thing above 30, but that's because we got the Lumen on. So the Lumen is the global illumination, the ray tracing that Unreal has built in. Okay, so if we keep everything on Ultra and we put TSR on Quality, we are now at the mid-30s. Everything is very smooth. There's no stuttering at all. Everything's super smooth. They really got this game optimized in that respect. Although there isn't a lot going on in the world, except for the grass moving. So we're like in the mid-30s. And everything still looks pretty nice. Okay, so ultra quality, 1080p, TSR on quality. Let's turn down the quality preset from ultra to quality. And we'll leave the TSR on quality. Alright, so everything's at 1080p quality. Let's see how much it goes up. Not much at all. Interesting. Didn't really change much, did it? That's weird. Seem to want to bother me, which is nice. Okay, so now I guess things just adjusted here. So now we're actually up to, it's all kind of going back and forth here. 53 in that direction. Say 49 in that direction. 55 in this direction. So we're like in the 50s basically, lower 50s. And again, that's at 1080p. Now this you gotta look up in the right hand corner. Because the GPU tweak doesn't really show the CPU usage properly or something. So we're at 22% CPU and 96% GPU. So let's see if we can get a little higher here. Let's turn everything to balanced and keep the TSR on quality. Let's see if we can get a little higher. Something tells me we're not going to be able to. Give it a little chance to adjust. So I imagine since we turned the graphics down, okay, here we go. There we go. Now it just adjusted now. So now we're in the 60s. It looks like all the time. even hitting 70 sometimes. Here we're at 79. So yeah, so it looks like balanced. Wow, now we're in the 80s. So what's going on here? Yeah, so balanced is probably the best way to play. So 1080p balanced will get you into 70. Oh. Whoa. Thanks, he just whacked them all. Alrighty then. Good job there, Mabel. I didn't want to do that though because we got to get that later. Yeah, so we're like in the 80s sometimes. So basically 70s and 80s this way. So I wonder if we can get rid of we could just put it on native AA and see what that gives us. Because I don't know why we really need upscaling on Unreal Engine. It doesn't make any sense. To me. I mean, I don't know, man. So if you just want to do native on balanced, then you're going to get like in the 50s. But everything looks, you know, pretty good. Not too bad. Looks like we're going down in the 40s in the woods here. So upper 40s, 50s. So what happens if we change the DLSS here? If we do balanced DLSS with no upscaling with the DLAA, what is that going to yield us? Basically the same. Actually, it seems like it's... Yeah, it's about the same. But everything, I think, looks a little better. Maybe. So you can either do TSR or TSR native or DLSS native with the DLAA. Seems like we're still like in the 50s, upper 40s. Now if we do DLSS quality, how far will that get us? Okay. So if you do balanced DLSS quality, you're going to pretty much be in the 60s and 70s, it looks like. Let's see if we can get higher than 74. Yeah, so where there's no water or anything, I guess that's the sky you're looking at, basically. Yeah. So it looks like a solid upper 60s and 70s. You know, with the occasional 80, but that's only when there's like nothing. So yeah, crazy, huh? So I mean, if you wanted to go to 1440p, you would probably have to do like wasn't a very good tool, was it? I was hitting them with the wrong thing. Yeah, so this is definitely very playable on the 2080 Ti, for sure. Yeah, so, yeah, I don't really think going... I mean, if we do, like, quality with the global illumination on balance, that might work. But I think we tried that in the beginning, right? Yeah, I mean, everything looks really good. Let's wait for it to adjust. Yeah, so I mean... It is playable. You're like in the 50s when you're not moving, but when you're running, it's kind of like drops down, I think. Let's check. No, I guess it's okay. Alright, so yeah, so this actually works. So it looks like you can get like near like 50s to 60 if you put everything on quality except for lumen. Turn lumen to balanced. I mean, we can try everything on quality with DLSS, but it looks like it dropped. Yeah. Yeah, it dropped down quite a bit. I mean, you can turn lumen off all the way if you want, put it on performance. But that's not, probably not going to, well actually, yeah, that actually bumped it up quite a bit. Let's see here. Let's let it adjust. Okay, yeah, so we're getting... like 60 here. Let's see in the woods. So in the woods we're dropping down to... Am I not moving? 59, 60. So 55 is like the lowest there. So it looks like here you can get 55 and above if you use these settings, so that's not too bad. That's in the woods, so, you know, when you get out into the open, it should be better, I think. Like out here, we should be getting like in the 60s easily. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so this is definitely it right here. I would use this setting. Lumen on performance and everything else quality with DLSS quality. So 1080p quality with lumen on performance and DLSS on quality. And it looks fine. Doesn't look like... I mean, look at, there you go, right there. Nothing looks compromised. Really. I mean, all the trees look... The bark looks fine, even from a distance. There's no detail loss. At least as far as I can tell. Maybe if you're like looking way off in the distance, you know, there might be something, but there's really nothing here that would not tell me this isn't 1080p. I mean, even that statue out there looks fine. So I tell you, they did a good job optimizing this game. My 4090 still crashes though. That I'm not happy with. So it's just like in the woods, you might see some, you know, you might drop down into like 50s. But it seems to be kind of hanging in there with a steady 60 average. Yeah, so if you played at 1440p, I mean, I would... I don't know, it's a tough one. I would probably do like quality with DLSS on performance. Is what I would do. You probably could play it at near... Probably not quite this high. If you went 1440 quality, you'll probably be like more like in a steady 50s. But it's possible that you could get these frame rates. But of course, when you're upscaling from 1080p to 1440, the picture quality is going to be, you know, it should be better than even this. So, yeah, you might have to go to like performance. I think the water a little bit is a little more, what do you say? Not as like, this is a swamp though, so it's a little different. But yeah, the water's the only thing that I think looks a little bit like less detailed. Like when you're right over it, yeah, you're fine. Like it's no problem. But I mean, that really doesn't take away, I don't think, from the game much. You know, if you really don't want to use upscaling, just turn everything down to balanced. I mean, I personally like the quality better, like on the trees and the grass. I mean, the water, yeah, that would be nice if it was like perfect, but again, that's not something that's really going to be the main focus. I would rather have all this stuff detailed. You know what I mean? Alright, so I think that's it. So this is how I would play it, I think. Again, you can micro adjust all these things here, but I think I would just stick with all quality, lumen on performance, DLSS quality on the RTX 2080 Ti. Alright, so I'm going to be back with the 1070 this time. Alright, so yes. Thanks for watching. Be right back. Alright. Keep hitting my head. I'm up in the attic. There's a low ceiling. Alright, we're back here now with the Nightingale. Sorry for all the noise, if there's noise. So we're back with on our 9900K system, with this time with the GTX 1070. And as you can see, we're getting 18, 16, 15 frames per second. I mean, the game looks really good, but obviously this is unplayable, and that's because we got everything turned up to 1080p. We're on 1080p ultra quality with TSR at native. Okay, so that's ultra with TSR at native is not going to work. So let's try to turn down lumen to quality and TSR to quality and see how the 1070 does with that. Again, we got to give it time to adjust. So we'll run around here a little bit. I'm not sure why it takes a little time to adjust here. But I think this is probably... Okay, so yeah, I guess this is pretty much... Alright, so that didn't get us above 30. Let's put on the NVIDIA stats here in the upper right hand corner. So we're at 99% GPU, 16% CPU. Okay, so that's not going to work. So let's turn down lumen to balanced and see what that does. Alright, so if we turn lumen down to balanced, that brings us up to 30. Like right here, we're getting like in the upper 20s, so that still isn't going to be good enough. Our VRAM is good. We're at 7,300, so that's not a problem. All right, so let's see what else we can do here, because I don't want to put temporal on performance, because that just looks bad. So let's turn everything down to quality with lumen on balanced again. All right, so everything's on quality with lumen on balanced. So let's see what that does. So I think it's the lumen that's really making the game run at lower frame rate. Okay, now it just adjusted there. Alright, so now we're at we're in the 30s out here. Like it's 40s there. 40s there. Okay, so it probably finally adjusted. Okay. So we're hovering around 40, but in the forest I'm sure we're gonna go down. So let's go over here. So here we're at like low 30s, but we're still above 30. Let's see if we go below. Okay, so here we're at 20. Let's see if we can get like. Okay, I think that was just because I was moving. so we're still about 30. I mean, I think it's just because I'm moving, that's why it drops into the 20s. But it seems like we're sticking to 30 here. Yeah, so like right here is pretty intense. So 29 there. Alright, so we're at quality. What can we change? So let's turn lumen down to performance, I guess. That didn't really do anything. Okay. So let's put that back up to balanced. So let's try everything balanced. With TSR on quality. We gotta give it time to adjust here. Let's load in all the world here. Loading in. Loading in. There we go. There we go. Alright, so we're back into the 40s again. Seems like we're still staying in the 40s. Okay, in the forest here, we're like in the low to mid 30s. That's still pretty good. I mean, I know, you know, when people see 40s, they're like, oh, yuck, it's not that bad. I mean, there's really no, like, input lag at all. Like, it's not even an issue. And there's no stutter that I can feel, you know? Like, every so often, like, because I am running, it just seems like it's loading something in. But nothing that's like, you know, too jerky. I mean, when you're just walking, everything's really smooth. Yeah, so we're definitely in the 40s for the most part, with the occasional drop into the 30s. You know, I really don't know what else we could change here besides... Ouch. Darn it. Ouch. Let's try XCSS, but I don't think that's going to work. So XCSS is unbalanced. It is working. That's interesting. Huh. It's actually working. It's weird because XCSS works like, I don't know. Some games it don't work too great. Some games it does. Like when you're moving, you can kind of see, like at the tops of the grass there. It's like kind of shimming when you're moving, but when you're like just doing this, everything looks fine. So now we're in the forest here, so this is a little rough. So I probably would use TSR still. Let's do TSR. I mean, XCSS quality really isn't gonna, I think, make it better. But let's see here. Yeah, it's not really. Not really making it better. Alright, so let's go back to TSR. Let's try balance just to see how it looks. See if we can get up into the 50s. Give it a chance to load. See, the lower you go on the quality, the higher the more CPU power you're going to use, right? So we went from 35 to 42, so that's not bad. That's a pretty good jump. So this is in the woods. Right, so it looks like we can get a steady... Again, when you're moving, it's going to go down to like 39, but we'll just say that's 40, because it's not really... It's only occasional, so we're actually doing pretty good now. With everything on balanced. Now out here it should go up more. In theory. Okay, so now we're up into the 50s. 40s when you're looking at the forest. So in the swamp area, we probably should be natives. Better get out of there. Like when it's more open area. Yeah, so out here when you're just kind of like out in the open, you're definitely in the upper 40s, low 50s. You do have some shimmy out there, as you can see. That's the problem with the upscaling, right? Unfortunately. Now we could do something really strange. And we can turn everything down to performance and then bring everything to native. Alright. So everything's on performance. Maybe I'll put the textures up to quality, just to give the GPU something to do. So everything's on performance, textures are on quality, and the TSR is on native. Wait for everything to load in. So it looks like, I mean, everything actually looks pretty good. I'm not sure I think the shadowing is the only thing, like there's no shadowing, right? Yeah, it's very like I don't have any shadowing on my character. Only when I'm in third person mode. So third person, we're like in the upper 30s when we're moving. Yeah, so when you're in third person, you're getting like a more, I think, wide view. But if you go to like first person, so if you want to keep the quality of the textures and not have that like shimmy, like you can see here. That shimmy is gone now, although it still looks like there's something there. Let me see. Only when you're moving. There's a little bit there. I think that's just the sunlight moving. It's barely there. So if you put the TSR like on performance, you'll see it. Watch. Yeah, see it now? It's like going crazy. It's not as bad as it was. I wonder if that's because the textures were... I guess because we don't have the lighting, but there you can see it. It's going nutsy. I mean, but we are actually... Wow. Actually, at these settings, we're like seeing 60s and 70s. Wow. And the frame time is pretty decent. So I mean, if you can deal with some shimmy effects here and there, this actually is pretty nice. So this is everything performance except for the textures. Maybe we can even turn up lumen to balanced. And that didn't really drop it. Huh. Let's try lumen at quality. That's gonna change a lot. Wow, yeah, so yeah, that changed a lot. But you know, all them nice shadows everywhere makes everything look better. Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's really no better... I mean, you can't really... You know, you might be able to, like, I don't know... Foliage? Put foliage up to quality? Let's see what that does. That dropped it a little bit. So textures are on quality. Foliage is quality. And lumen is on balance, but it doesn't seem like it changes when you put it on there. View distance. Let's see how much that actually changes. Let's put that on quality. That doesn't really seem to change much. Sorry. The weather's changing all the time now. My nose is messed up, my throat. Well, I don't know. It's this just looks a whole lot better, you know, than everything on performance. I mean, I would play this way, to be honest with you, because you get the quality textures, you get the quality foliage, you get a little bit of lumen, you know, it's on balanced. But again, it doesn't seem to change much when you put it on balanced. There's a big jump from like quality to performance. So if we put on vertical sync, that'll get rid of that screen tearing, right? But I mean, yeah, we're staying like pretty steadily in the 50s, except for maybe when we go in the forest here. Yeah, and the forest will drop down to like looks like 48 was the lowest. Over here is like probably a little denser. But even then it doesn't really drop much. So with all those leaves it's got to render, it goes down to like 43, but that's if you're looking up. I'm sorry about my sniffles, my goodness. My nose is just starting to run. I'm gonna have to build something. Yeah, so it really just depends on like what you're willing to tolerate. Again, if you want to go everything with performance, alright, so the settings we have here 1080p, balanced lumen. I know you can't see with this thing too clearly. I guess I could move it. Okay. Yeah, so we got lumen on balanced, AA performance, effects performance, foliage quality, Post-processing, shading, shadows are performance. Textures and view distance are on quality. And TSR is actually on performance. Alright. Now if you want everything on performance with just the textures on quality and maybe foliage on quality, that'll give you the most FPS, I think. Let it adjust. I think that's what we did before, didn't we? Okay, now everything's different now. Let's see what did we do before that was different? I thought we did everything performance with textures on quality. Alright, so there we go. Okay. So it just changed. Alright, so yeah, so everything on performance, I guess the foliage actually makes a difference. Apparently. So, yeah. So everything on performance with oh, textures are unbalanced. Let's try quality. Okay, yeah. That's what it's supposed to be. Yeah. So 1080p, everything performance, textures on quality. I mean, the game still looks pretty good. And we're running at like upper 50s, like 50s in the forest here. And when you get out more out in the open, it starts going up into the 60s. So this is probably the ideal oh, I have it on I forgot I put it back on VSync. Sorry. There we go. Okay, great. Alright, so now my bad. So even looking at the forest, we're at 60. Even looking at all these leaves. So we're in the 60s for the most part. Just when you're moving, you know, it might drop to 58, 59. I don't know why it's like lower there. That doesn't make any sense. But anyway, whatever. For the most part, you're going to have an average of 60 or more with this setting. That's all that matters. You know? Yeah, this is what's going to hit your 60 target. Alright. Now here, it's dropping a little bit. Probably because of all the shadowing, maybe. So here we're like in the 50s. So there are some lower spots apparently. But as you can see, you know, the frame times are pretty good. 17, 18 milliseconds, so that's not bad. That was better than before when they were up to 30. But as long as it's steady, that's all that matters. But this will get you, you know, in some parts of the map you're going to be well into the 60s. Yeah. So that's it. I'd say this is probably the ideal. Again, you can go to 1440 and try to put everything on performance and use ultra performance, and that might be okay. But it looks like we're getting a steady 60 here with everything on performance and texture quality, which is nice because everything still looks good. See? I mean, I would just go ahead and put on vertical sync, you know, just so we don't have that screen tearing. And you're going to get that steady 58 to 62. Sometimes it'll go a little lower, like here. But again, the frame times are pretty steady. You know, 17, 18 milliseconds. So there's no real stutter unless it loads something specific in. You know, you can see there's some. The shadows aren't very good right there. I thought that was DLSS, but it's obviously it has to do with the Unreal. There's a little bit of shimmy, slightly, when you're like stopped and you're looking at a lot of bushes. Yeah, we can get definitely a pretty steady 60 here. So not bad at all. So the 1070 can do it. Alright, so next we're going to try the GTX 970. Ooh. The card that everybody loved. Well, some people were complaining, but I wasn't. Yeah, I like this. This will work. Alright, coming up with the GTX 970. Be right back. Alright, Game Cookie US Rocks here, back again. Back in Nightingale. As you can see here, let me, I don't know why this thing... As you can see, back in the 9900K system with the GTX 970 4GB. So we're at GTX 970. So I have everything on balanced with the TSR on performance. Okay. So as you can see, the VRAM is maxed out at 3992. So I'm not sure what that means in the game, but it's probably going to mean that when we get to forest areas, we're going to have trouble. So right now it's morning. I just slept. Now the frame time is a little higher than it was on the 1070, but surprisingly, there really still isn't any like lag. It's like smooth. So even though we're at like 25 frames per second, I mean, I wouldn't say this is ideal. Let's go to the forest here and see how bad it gets. Alright, so we're like at 25. Yeah, let's do that. So it's it probably needs to be adjusted. So let's try let's see, Lumen on performance. That probably didn't do a whole lot. We're still at like in the upper 20s here. So let's start changing settings to see what so let's put shading and shadows on performance. Let's see what happens. Okay, that didn't really do anything. Okay. Alright, let's put everything on performance. Except for the textures. Let's put them on quality. Let's wait for everything to load in. It should be getting in the 30s. Not sure what's going on. It takes a little while for everything to load in. So what if we put textures to balanced and foliage to balanced? Alright, I have a better idea. Let's do this. Alright, let's put everything back up to quality with TSR on quality and turn the lumen down to performance and see if we can even run the game. So that's the only thing I don't like about this GPU tweak. Like, it's not showing the RAM. Not sure why it doesn't show the RAM. Alright, so lumen on performance and everything at quality. It's not running smooth at all. Okay. So let's turn everything down to balanced. and then Lumen on performance. Let's see what we get. Wait for everything to load in. I guess that's why they set a minimum. I think the minimum is a GTX 1060. Alright, so everything just loaded in. So we're still in the 20s. Still in the 20s. So if we put everything at performance with TSR on quality, let's see if we can get at least a steady 30. But we gotta wait for everything to load in. Might have to restart the game. Because I was getting 30s earlier. Alright, so here we go. I think finally it loaded in. So here we're at the like upper 20s. You know, it just seems like that's the performance. Right, performance is the issue here. I can't really hear the game because the sound is going through the capture cards. I don't really hear it. Somebody hit me again? There's more. There's another one. Two more. Wow. What did I do? Just walk in more? Yeah, okay, so we're still not getting 30, so how did I get 30 before? Let's try balanced. Okay, so now we're dropped down to below the 4 gigabyte threshold. But let's go in the woods here, because that's where it's going to be taxing the GPU. Oh, it looks like it's pretty good. I mean, it only went to 29. 27 there a little bit. So I think this is pretty much the lowest I would go. I would try to play it at 30 frames per second. I mean, we're not going above that 4 gigs. We're just below it. Right, so I think this is just all the game can handle, you know? Or excuse me, the graphics card. Yeah, so, yep. So probably could lock this at 30. I don't know why it's echoing. But anyway. Enable vertical sync. Oh, I forgot to lock it at 30. So if we go down, oh, that's field of view. I think that's 30, right? I can't see. So if, say we lock it at 30. You know, you can have a pretty smooth experience. Console game experience, you know? And it's staying pretty much at 30 with just the occasional, I'm not sure, maybe the grass here, I'm not sure what's giving it trouble there. I mean, again, when you move, it drops frames. If you do third-person view, it'll probably drop. Let's see. Yeah, it's still pretty good. Let's take off VSync again. Yeah, it's not going to change much there. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's really much else you can do. I mean, you could put the textures, say, up to quality and then turn down TSR to performance and see if that helps. Let's see. Make sure we took off VSync. Turn this down. I think we got to turn that down too. So we got to wait for everything to load in, I guess. There we go. I think it loaded in. Maybe. So we have the textures on quality. So we're still at 3874 as far as I can see. On the VRAM usage, right? So we're at 3233. So it looks like this is a pretty good. You can have the textures on quality and still only use 3825. Let's try to see if we put up the foliage, because everything's running from the some of the games running now heavily into the RAM, so I don't know how. The foliage is graphical, right? So we'll have to see if that will run from the RAM. And it looks like it dropped. Yeah, it definitely looks like it dropped. Yeah. It can handle the textures, the basic textures, but the more foliage is not going to be able to. You need the GPU to render that. So I can turn that down to, let's turn that to balanced and the textures to balanced. See if we can even get a little bit more. Yeah, so it looks like we're at a steady 30. Have some drops here and there. 28 here. Again, I don't know. You know, again, I like the textures up high. Like, I could care less about the foliage. I'd rather have the textures on high. So you can see it actually went up when I turned the foliage down. Yeah, so this I think is the perfect setting. This is going to keep you above 30, 99% of the time, I think. I mean, out here we're getting 33. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty good. And our frame times are fairly steady, between 28 and 30. In the woods here, we're staying in the 30s. So yeah, the game can run on a 970. Again, I'm using an SSD as well, so keep that in mind. If we were using a hard drive, it may that may have an effect. I'm not sure. But yeah, it looks like this is the setting. I mean, this is what you're gonna do. You know, the game looks fairly. You know, it doesn't look bad. I mean, you know, the water doesn't look like great from a distance. I mean, but when you're right above it, I mean, it looks okay, I guess. Maybe not. But what do you want? It's in performance at 1080p. Leave me alone. Yeah, so this is definitely going to work. Alright, so that looks good. So we have 1080p, everything on performance. Literally. Except for textures. Again, you could play around with these other settings all day long and see if there's something else that you can get out of this, but I think, you know, this is probably going to be it. We're at 3,900 megabytes on our VRAM, so that's under the 4 gigs. So NVIDIA says we're at 96% GPU and 20% on the CPU, so no bottlenecks. Again, on a more modern CPU, you might be able to get a few more frames. I'm not sure. I don't see any bottlenecks here, so I think the bottleneck is the GPU, you know, and the VRAM. All right, that's it. So you can play it on a GTX 970. It looks like just fine. You know, I mean, I don't know about any magic. Like we haven't really did any magical stuff, so that could have a slight impact on it. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good one. Don't forget to like, sub, and share. Peace.